All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the create tools. I'm going to mainly focus on the pen. There's a pen tool here. There's a curvature pen. There's a line segment tool where I can also use it as an arc or spiral. And then there's some shape tools. So I can draw rectangles, ellipse or circles, polygons, as well as, let me close out of that, a paintbrush tool. Okay. So if we start with the pen tool and I click anywhere in my white area, which is my drawing space, you'll see that it creates a point. And over here are the coordinates of that point. And because the way we set our page up, 0, 0 is up in this corner. So if I was to come over here to our properties window and type in 0 and then tab in 0, you'll see that it puts that point up in that upper corner. Remember, we have a 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper or drawing area that we're working with. So if I want to come in and make that 1 inch and 1 inch, you can see that's where that point's going to be. You can also see that it snaps to my horizontal or vertical angle. So if you want to draw a straight line across, you can see that I can draw it over 9.44. If you want to be precise, basically just click and that sets that anchor point there. And you'll notice over here that it's gone 1 inch. It's at 1 inch in the Y direction, but it's also 9 inches in the X direction. So if I wanted to make that exactly 10 inches, I could type in 10 and now I have a 10-inch line. But you can just also just arbitrarily just click where you want this to be, and you can see that it will snap and basically anchor and enclose the object to create a rectangle. You can do the same thing with the curvature. With the curvature one, whenever you click, you can see there's a circle versus the square. Also, you can put in the coordinates. But now when I pick that next point, you'll see that it's going to create an arc. So it's passing through that particular point right there, and it's going to define the arc based on where my third point of the arc is going to be. And then it'll continue, and you can see now it's a reverse curve, or I can continue in an arc fashion along this direction. We'll come back to text. The line tool is simply just a line. So you can see when you left click, it's going to ask you for the length of the line. So if you want to draw a constant 5-inch line at a 0 angle, and you can fill the line or just click OK. And now I've got a 5-inch line at a horizontal direction. If you left click and drag your cursor holding your left mouse button down, you'll see that you can change the angle or length of that particular line. And now over here you can see it's got the coordinates and the distance. So you can adjust these, change the scale, the width, the height as needed. The shapes, pretty simple. I've got rectangle. So up here I can just left click to start holding my mouse button down. I can drag to the lower right corner. If you just click, it asks you for the length, height, and width. So if I say I want a 5-foot width with a 2-inch height and click OK, now I've got that particular shape. You can do the rounded rectangle. You can do the ellipse. The ellipse is a circle, right? So I can make this a 2 by 2-inch circle just by left clicking once. To move it, if you just use this selection tool, you can drag and move it. We'll come back to those. If you do the ellipse, you left click and drag, you can see that you can make it more of an oval shape. Or if you come back and it shows you those intersection tools, it's actually a circle. So you can make it a circle. So I'm holding the left mouse button down when I do this. The rounded rectangle is much like the regular rectangle. You can see it automatically rounds the corners. And I'll show you how to do that with some of these other tools here in a second. And then we have the polygon tool, which same idea, you click and hold it, it's going to create the number of sides. If you just click once, it's going to ask you how many sides you want and what is the radius. So if I make it a 3-inch 6-sided, or maybe make it 8-sided, I click OK. Now I've got a 3-inch stop sign. So those are the main shapes. And what I'm going to show you next is how to edit and modify some of these objects.